Hello, everyone. Beautiful and amazing people. And thank you so much for joining. Yes, I think we can start in 3 minutes so that we can get more people to join. So I will just maybe, I don't know, I would like you guys to just already get engaged in the chat box. Please, can you just type on the chat box where you're joining from? So my name is Kenny. You can just call me Kenny, and I'm joining from Göttingen in Germany. So let's make this more engaging. You can just type on the chat box so we can know where you're joining from. Yalla, let's do this, everybody. I can't see the screens. I don't know if people are already responding. Wow, Rwanda, just somebody from Accra. I miss the Ganangelov, Paul from Berlin, Germany, Dedenika from Germany, Emmanuel from Rwanda, just somebody from Berlin, all the way from Fuda. Hi, Clara. Let's get more people to introduce themselves on the chat box. You just want to know where you're joining from. Then we can start in 2 minutes. There is EBB from Bremerhaven in Germany. Okay. I've not seen anybody from Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria. Guys, let's engage. We want to know where you're joining from. Berlin is somehow taking the lead. There is Peace Hill from Ghana, Mayfred from Berlin. We have a lot of Berliners here. All right, so I think we can start now. So once again, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining. So today we are going to be introducing you all to the German IT sector. The German IT sector is a huge sector in Germany and one of the biggest in Europe. And we are presenting you this webinar on behalf of Terra Talent. And yes, so we have amazing lineup of speakers who are IT talents who have been able to do big stuff in Germany, and they will be sharing their stories and also sharing you some amazing tips on how you can secure an IT job in Germany. So my humble self, my name is Elisha, but you can just call me Kenny. I'm from Nigeria, and I'll be moderating this amazing webinar with support of my big boss, Bukat, who I will introduce also shortly. So just a brief about Terra Talent. So Terra Talent, our key vision is to support and bridge the gap between talent from developing countries like Africa with also German employers. And we are a subsidiary of TerraSign, also in Berlin. And our key slogan is remove talent. So we're a very young consultancy company, but we have a lot of experiences. Two founders have been involved for years in the areas of international talent acquisition, and we are very strong in markets like Africa and Asia. But overall, we have a huge global network across EU, America, and other continents. So if you want to learn more, you can visit our website by scanning on this QR code. And yes, so we have a lot of partners at the moment. We are working with some amazing tech schools, universities across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, as well as Uganda. So this is just to give you an idea of some of our partners that we are currently working with at the moment. And yes, I will just invite Bukat And just a brief about Burkhardt. Burkhardt, with nearly close to 20 years, has been head of talent for Berlin for the German government, and he has been instrumental in establishing the city as a European hub for international professionals, creatives, as well as entrepreneurs. And he has been able to do a lot of work with the Business Immigration Service in Berlin and has really supported in amplifying and transitioning skilled workers to move to Berlin from different parts of the world in the last 20 years. And he is also the co-founder of Terra Talent. So drum rolls for Burkhardt as he give an overview about the German IT sector. So Burkhardt, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Very kind. Hello to all the other speakers. Looking forward to listen to that. It's about the IT sector. I don't have an IT background, so this is why I'm happy that I have a lot of other speakers digging deeper into that. And as Kenny announced, so I did work for the city of Berlin, business development agency, trying to bring companies to Germany. And Berlin is always a little bit different than the other parts of Germany. I saw that a lot of people are coming or already living in Germany. You may add something to that when I try to explain a little bit overall. I started my presentation with that slide, Germany's best known brands. So very often when I'm outside of Germany, I'm asking people what came to your mind when you're thinking about Germany. And I think that the automotive sector is quite famous. So most of the people know a BMW, a Mercedes-Benz, or a Volkswagen. So this is where we Germans are famous for. There is a big telecom company, T-Mobile, doing a lot of business also in US. Perhaps somebody just go back is going knowing perhaps Siemens, or one of the biggest corporates, doing a lot of things, wind energy, healthcare, whatever they are doing. With a different background, Adidas, Puma, also famous brands when it comes for fashion industries. And perhaps even if you're coming to somewhere in Europe, Lidl, with this a retailer here in Germany. So these are typically, I think, brands which are connected to Germany. And I'm saying that a little bit with the background of IT. We in Germany sometimes complain that the big IT brands outside worldwide, Google, Microsoft, Apple, they are not European, not even German. So we sometimes feel a little bit that perhaps Germany is not known as the IT hub in the world, where Berlin is one of the startup hubs beyond London and Paris, I think one of the big threes here in Europe. But it's not that Germany is number one in IT. On the next slide, and nevertheless, trying to present two names. Perhaps most of you know SAP, which is one of the biggest IT companies worldwide, but mostly in B2B relations, so doing a lot of IT project for corporates, companies, company software. I think not all of you might know Datev, which is one of the most advanced IT software tools for bookkeepers. So even the financial authorities in Germany, or the tax advisors, and most of the companies, and now also employees, they all have access to Datev. So that was one of the first solutions in Germany where there was really a big common digital solution for doing any kind of a financial services between authorities and companies and private persons. So DATEV is quite big, very, very German. Would be interested how many international IT specialists are working for DATEV. And perhaps next slide, there is one which might have come across, which is DeepL, which is a translation service, which is now, I think, valued like 2 billion euros as one of the big competitors to Google Translate. That was coming from Cologne. So this is where we are a little bit proud that there is at least one big IT solution which is known worldwide for the IT scenario. And going beyond that, what the names are, Bitkom. Bitkom is the IT association of all the German IT companies. They set up a study within the next time until 2040, and they are predicting that whatever 66,000 IT specialists are lacking here in Germany, and there will be a high demand for IT specialists coming to Germany. And Wintergast, which is the CEO of the Bitkom, said it or formulated it. Without IT specialists, Germany is gambling away its digital future. So this is a key figure. There are a lot of those figures. I normally don't like those kind of figures that much, but I think at least it shows you a little bit that there is a demand and there are a lot of things going on. On the next slide, I digged a little bit beyond that. Though I try to explain that Germany is not the IT hub in Europe, when you look on about digitalization in Germany, it's only within the European Union on place 13, though there is a lot of work still to do. I think for those living in Germany, there is always one example. If you are trying to apply for a work permit, it's mostly to be done on paper, and you have to go and to make an appointment. So digital services for German inhabitants or employees is sometimes still a pain, and there is where we have to catch up a lot. So there is where I also would see that there is a big demand coming up. And for those who are not that familiar here in Germany, on the next slide, I'm just trying to explain or describe a little bit the German IT scene. So whatever that is, 100,000 companies in the IT field. There is more than 1 billion employees in that sector, and we have like 181 billion turnover in market capitalization. So it's a big sector. Automotive and others, heavy industries are bigger, but IT is catching up. We have a strong IT startup scene where there's a lot of things coming up. But as you can see in the next slide, it's mostly about software building, where most of those companies are working in. It's a lot of IT consulting. You see the last column, we have now around 580 fintechs, startups, also those SaaS companies, mostly startups. So there is the startup scene is part of the game, but the bigger ones like SAP, DATEV, and players like that are the biggest ones. And you also have to see, and I think that the speakers might also recur to that every German company has an IT department, governments have IT departments, state authorities have IT departments. So this is where it still is the biggest bunch of people working in that but startups are catching up on numbers. Then on the next slide, it's about what they are looking like. So we have the corporates, where I would name like Siemens, SAP and things, the small one, but I have the big percentages of people working for. In the IT field, most of them are micro enterprises, which I would define something like less than 10 employees, so not that big in size. We have a lot of small business, very small business, and freelancers working in that field, SME. So you can see that there is a lot of small companies in that field, which makes it also quite complicated if you're looking for jobs, because you have to find all those micro enterprises and small business. And you might not know the names of those players in the market. Though here the problem in matching jobs with demand is starting. On the next slide, one of my last, in the sense of looking on the German labor market, and I experienced that a lot. Normally, it's about formal education. Though German HR companies or HR departments, they always love to see people coming in with a university background, any kind of a certificate which is needed to start in a job. In the IT fields, I see that there is a lot of informal education right now. If you look in Berlin, I would say that we have about 20 coding schools here, even bigger ones. 42 Berlin is one of those. Siemens, Volkswagen heavily invested in coding schools. So IT is one of those sectors where HR now is accepting applications coming from people with no formal education, which is, for me, a disruption in the labor market. So for those people coming from a other background, disadvantaged background, refugee background, only have a coding school. So this gives a lot of opportunity. Even in the immigration law, there is now a possibility, the first time ever, that you can apply for a blue card without having a formal education, just based on work experience. So this gives you a little bit of a background that those numbers of IT demand in Germany is growing, and the system is changing because the pain is becoming higher and higher. But nevertheless, until you get there to the labor market, it might be, as I once described it, as a long and winding road. And I'm looking forward for the discussion now on experience, how to tackle into the German labor market. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Burkhard. That was very insightful. And I'm sure this is helpful for a lot of people who wants to explore the IT market in Germany. And I think this will lead me to introducing the next speaker. And Henry, if you're there, could you please open your cameras so we can see you?
Yeah, sure. I'm ready.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so I would like to introduce Henry, who is like a 3-time founder, and he has been very active with supporting and mentoring tech professionals with Imagine Foundation. Also works in terms of talent acquisition as well, who has a background with computer science. He has a lot of expertise, and Burkhard already gave an overview in terms of the IT market. So my question for you, Henry, is we have a lot of people from different parts of Africa and also here in Germany, as you can see, from different parts of Germany, like Berlin and other cities, who want to really explore the IT labor market, right? So the question I have for you is, can you tell us what are those common tech hacks that a lot of people need to learn and develop themselves? But beyond these hard skills, what kind of soft skills you think might be very interesting for these young people who wants to explore the IT market in Germany? So if you can share this, I think this would be very, very helpful.
Okay, thank you so much, Kenny, for the introduction.
We
And
can see you. Okay, we can see you now.
yeah. And hi, everyone. My name is Nwogwezi Chukwu Henry, like he said. And I'll be looking at the high in demand programming languages in Germany, so to speak. Then I will share a little bit of competitive strategies and share some tips that talents across Africa, could leverage on, to land their dream jobs. So you may ask why Germany? Of course, Bukhari has said a few, but Germany is one of the largest economy in the global tech hub today, and it's a home to these companies he mentioned like SCP, Siemens, Mercedes-Benz, big companies. And you also know that over 1.3 million tech jobs with an increasing demand for developers every day. So aside that, you also discover that Germany has um, a competitive salary and work-life balance. I will tell you that I have friends in the US, and people who work and work and work and work themselves. But then in Germany you have this work-life balance. That you enjoy when you work here. So what are those programming languages in high demand? What are those languages that these companies are looking for or looking out for in tech talent? So my number one pick today is Python. And you agree with me that Python is a good language. I know we have Python developers here, and I'm happy to have him on this place. He'll be able to talk more about that. Python is widely used in data science and machine learning, web development, and automations. Python remains highly sought after for its versatility and case of use. Popular libraries like TensorFlow, Pandas, Django's, these are things that make Python indispensable for modern projects. I can tell you that 15.7 million users are on that programming language today. So that's my number one pick. Next is Java. Enterprise applications, Android developers in Germany, it's widely used. JavaScript comes next for full stack web developers with frameworks like React, Node.js. You also see SQL, SQL, database management and analysis coming after, then C Ash for Microsoft ecosystem, game development, then TypeScript, large scale web apps, and finally Golang, cloud and back end systems. But then, aside these languages, beyond these programming languages, what are some of these competitive edge that you could have as a tech professional looking to land a job in Germany? I will share a few. One of them is open source contribution. You can't you can't do away with open source contribution. It's very, very important for you. It shows you know what you're doing. It showcases your work, you know, and you can show what you're doing in GitHub and similar platforms, to be able to for recruiters and employers to know that yes, you know what you're doing. So other things are relevant awards. I know sometimes we work or we go to school and we feel like we just go to school, we get the degrees and go. But then the little awards that we receive, from activities, extracurricular activities are very important. They are very important skills. It shows that you know what you're doing and you're fully engaged. Leadership and teamwork, how to demonstrate what you're doing, leading projects or mentoring junior developers. In school, you see a lot of people who are engaged in mentoring, who are engaged in tutoring others. This is very important. This is very good. These are skills that are important for you. What about project portfolios? I like impactful problem solving projects. You know, mentor people, engage in helping others to show um, what you have learned that you can impart, you can show others. Then skills like adaptability, problem solving, and continuous learning is also very important. Then I'll share a bit of other strategies you can as well use. One of them is these webinars today, where you get to listen to industry experts. We have industry experts who are here, who are going to be sharing their experiences. You learn from them, you connect with them. So you network, build an online presence. Some people, you check their LinkedIn page, that they just have 86. And this is somebody who, who is trying to land a tech job. He doesn't even have connections. Build online presence, update your LinkedIn and GitHub profiles, publish articles on certain things, on tutorials, try and, network, attend tech meetups and webinars, connect with people, show certificates. If you have done some certifications, try to show those um, certifications. Is very important.
Thank you
So,
so much, Henry.
yeah, okay.
Maybe you can try to wrap up in 1 minute.
Yeah, so basically, these are very important for you. And of course, like I said, continuous learning and problem solving. They want to see these things. So once you already have these things, you are good to go. And finally, I just share insight in the cities, a few cities that you might be looking at and what they are known for. Of course, startups versus big corporations. In Germany, you look at Berlin, it has the startups. Talk about the startup. Munich has the automobile and AI. You have Frankfurt for fintech. But popular sectors, generally AI, cybersecurity, blockchains, and robotics. Thank you so much.
Amazing. That was a lot of insight. Thank you so much, Henry. I think this is very super cool information, and I think this is helpful for most of us. I like the way you blended, starting from the core trends, IT trends like Python that are in demand. I'm trying to connect everything with the soft skills. I like how you connected everything. And maybe this will allow me to now go to the next part of this webinar. Personally, I believe our stories is what gives us power, and that power is leadership. So here we have like 3 amazing people who have really have success stories. Some of them got IT jobs directly from their home country, and some of them came here for studies and they transitioned into working with companies in Germany. So I'll first of all invite this lady. I call her the superwoman. In Nigeria, we say big madam. So Ifan is a very strong lady with over 8 years of experience, has been in Germany for close to 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, and also an expert in digital marketing as well as data. So she has a lot of capacity, like she knows too many things. So Ifan, I think it's very important if you can please share your story. Maybe want to know how was it like it for you leaving your whole country to Nigeria? What were those, maybe give some hints, what worked well for you in terms of getting job in Germany? Was it through university and then you did an internship, or you just applied to companies? Were there like rejections? How did you learn from these rejections? Just share your story in like 10 minutes. Thank you. You can go next. Inform.
Thank you so much, Elisha. Thank you, Bukat, and the team for having me here. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you can see me clearly. Is it fine now? Okay, I think I probably was having a bit of a blow on my camera, but I hope it's better now. Okay, so yes, I moved to Germany in 2017, and I came to Germany actually to do my master's, and it's supposed to be was a master's for 2 years, and by the time I started my master's, and I was interested actually in doing a different course, but by the time I came to Germany, I realized that I didn't have everything completely to be ready to get into the job market after if I had completed the 2 years master's. And I'll try to quickly explain what I mean. So my background, I had my bachelor's in computer information system from a university in Nigeria. And after my bachelor's, I had a 4 years gap before coming for my master's. And that 4 years, I used it in working as a marketing and sales executive with one of the top banks in Nigeria and Africa, basically. And that gap, for those of us that are IT and programming guys, you know that once you take a break from programming, you forget a lot of things. And so I had like 4 years gap after graduation and then coming back to do my master's. And now the master I came to do in Germany was actually a master's in computational life science, which had a lot to do with Python. Henry has spoken about Python. It had a lot to do with Python. It had a lot to do with bioinformatics, microbiology. And so I had that gap of Python, and it was challenging to learn Python, just knowing that I had taken 4 years gap between bachelor's and master's. And it was challenging to learn Python at the same time, get into the market immediately. So what I did then at that time was I did the master's for 1 year. I stopped it after 1 year, and then I switched to do an MBA, because I had the mindset of, if I want to have a master's, I want to have a master's and know that I am actually successful in the course and program that I studied. So I felt I wouldn't be that confident in completing the initial master's I came to Germany to do in computational life science, knowing that I had the gap with Python and the biological courses. So I stopped the program, that particular master's, after 1 year, and then applied to do an MBA in corporate management. This, I already had the experience working with the bank within that 4 years period that I had the gap, so I could be successful in the management and corporate management field. However, I was still keen in tech, in IT. So what did I do? By the time I started the MBA program, that was in 2018, it was with a university in Hamburg. What I did then was I decided to get a working student job with a startup company. So that was where my tech journey in working in Germany actually started. And the good thing was that they gave me the opportunity to learn on the job. So I was actually employed to work as a customer service executive, or you could call it associate. But I noticed by the time I started working as a customer service associate, I realized that the company had a gap in marketing. So this is an interesting thing you all need to know, that when you're working with startups gives you the opportunity to grow, expand, help the company as much as you can, because they always need the help and the support. So for the company I was working with at that time as a working student, I realized they were about to launch a new e-commerce platform, but there was no marketing strategy in place for that launch. There was no digital marketing strategy in place for the launch. So what I did was I approached my manager at that time and asked him that if I could support the company in doing that. So moving from customer service to digital marketing. And he gave me a yes, that sure, I could join, start up something. And I told them I would be learning myself, training myself and doing it and, practicing it with the company and all that. And it was like, yeah, fine, go for it. And so they gave me the opportunity. And that was how I started with digital marketing. I did that for 2 years. And the interesting thing was, while doing digital marketing, one of the tools I was using was Google Analytics. For some of us that know about the analytics scene, you have some tools that are already developed where you can just apply them in getting numbers, understanding what the numbers say, creating your reports and, making business decisions. And then you also have the opportunity to build your tools yourself in-house as a company and then do all that. So Google Analytics is one of the tools you can use to get numbers from websites, apps, and, try to understand what the user behavior is and make decisions based on that, in either improving your product, your digital product, or perhaps expanding, or whatever it is that you need to do with the product. And so that was one of the tools I started making use of with that company. And so I learned how to do tracking and analysis using that tool. And 2 years after being with the company, and now I had graduated from my MBA program, I decided to move to another company. And what helped me get the next job I had was the fact that I had worked with that tool in my previous company, learning and applying it in the startup company. And so that was how I was able to grow. I got into the second company. And I now worked with another tool, but still in the analysis or analytics field and all. So in summary, I'll just say that it was an interesting journey for me, but I think what was really key was the fact that I could leverage the opportunity of getting a job as a working student. And this is something that you should not, don't stay away from. Don't come to GEM. One of the best ways for you to grow is when you come, and perhaps you come in as a student like I did, get into working with a company either as an intern or as a working student with the mindset of you want to learn and add value to the company. Because with that, as a working student or as an intern, you have the opportunity to explore, help the company grow, add value, do so many things. And at the same time, you would also be adding value to yourself. And you never can tell if perhaps you can use that to get your next job, or you can even remain in that company and perhaps run a department. So I think this was what really helped me to leverage and stay in the job scene as a digital analyst. Right now, I've spent about 5 years doing tracking and analysis. And because I see that I like the analysis part more than the tracking part actually involves getting the actual data from the website or the app into the tool itself, either Adobe Analytics and Google Analytics, which is very technical and you need JavaScript for that. And personally, I really do not like JavaScript so much, but I feel more comfortable with Python. So what I did is, if I need to stay on the path of tracking, that's doing the technical part of moving the data to the tool, I need to be very good at JavaScript. However, if I need to do more data analysis, I need to be very good at Python. So what I've done now is I am now training in Python so I can move in the data analysis part. So at the end of the day,
you can try to wrap up 1 minute.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I think in summary, it's been a very good experience, and it's important to know what path you want to take and focus on that path in growing and learning and keep improving in it. So yeah, thank you. Thanks, Elisha.
Thank you so much. I really like your story because you were able to take us through a journey on how you started, and even with your story, you could even tell us some of the challenges you encountered, and what you even do to overcome those challenges, which I think is really, really important for many young people here. And two things for me was, especially those of us who are in Germany or people on this call who are in Germany, just start small, like get a student job, because that is the fastest way to start building your career. And I think being self-aware is very important. You need to know clearly what kind of career I want to build. When you understand what you want to do, then you can also know how to get there, right? Is it Python? Is it Java? Is it digital marketing? So I think that was a very, very cool sharing. Thank you again, Ifon. And maybe this next speaker, I mean, his name is very interesting, to be honest. He's a back-end engineer, software engineer, and with a lot of experiences in Python as well. Also one of the tech giants in Germany, from Africa. I'll allow him to introduce himself. His name is Emmanuel Pastor. And my question for you after you introduce yourself would be, we have a lot of people on this call who are joining from Ghana, from Kenya, from Uganda, from Nigeria. They are not here in Germany, right? Ifan was talking a lot about how she moved in through university. So for people like this who are not even here at all, what kind of tips can you share with them? Also, maybe sharing your own story that can help them get IT jobs, or what kind of good case practices you feel like they can already start working on if they want to explore the IT labor market in Germany. So thank you, Emmanuel. You can go next.
All right. Can you hear me? Am I audible enough? All right. All right. So my name is Emmanuel Pastor. So you could switch so you don't think I'm one preacher in the church. I'm a preacher, but my name actually is Emmanuel Pastor. So Pastor is the surname. Yes, like Elijah said, I did come from Nigeria. Like I got my job offer from Nigeria, and the company had to pay all of my relocation expenses from Nigeria down to Germany. So how did it happen? Right. So I've been, just a background check, right? I've been programming for like over 6 years now, mainly Python, and So it was recently at work where I had to do some quick processes, trying to optimize the process in our system that I had to start learning Rust. So I have a bit of understanding in Rust and JavaScript as well, because I was actually a full stack engineer before I started backend currently. So my current role is just backend, but generally I see myself as a full stack engineer using both Vue and React.js. So how did the process start? So before I came to Germany, I'd already started working, like I'd already tasted working remotely and working with international companies before now. So I pretty much understood how the whole space when it comes to the whole ecosystem of working internationally, like, right? I understood how it works. So I started working with a company. So I started first with a company in the US. You know, I was working on this. So pretty much we were building we call it annotation tools. We're building this annotation tool for annotators to be able to annotate data for AI engineers to use, you know, to train models. So we built that tool for this company in the US, and afterwards I left there and I worked again still remotely while I was still in Nigeria with a company in Canada. It's called AutoSync now, right? Then it was Motor Insight. So we basically were building solutions to help OEMs. Like, so I think one of our major clients then were Polestar, VW, and I think partly Benz actually. So we're building for their dealership, right? So we built these tools for their dealership to be able to sell their cars, right? So that was what I did in Canada. So, but while I was in Canada, oh sorry, while I was working in Canada, I've not been there. While I was working in Canada, I wanted to actually, you know, have like that stability of living abroad, right? So I wanted to just live abroad, not just live in Nigeria. So, and again, I had this colleague of mine who also we're working in this Motor Insight company together in Canada, and he was like he was searching for a job and he was going to move soon. I said, okay. Then some weeks later, he sent me a message like I've gotten a job in Germany, and he's going to be working with one company called Alliance. I'm like, oh wow, that was great. You know, so he left. You know, was like, so he left my team because we're actually in the same team when we're working in that company in Canada. I said, okay, how did you get the job, right? So that was like the first question everyone asked. How did you do it, right? So he said, well, he just applied online, applied on LinkedIn, and he got the offer and stuff. Like, oh wow, cool. And so because I wanted to actually live abroad, so I started searching as well on LinkedIn. So I was putting out there. In fact, I changed my profile, my search. So if you're for searching for a job, just change your search profile, right, on LinkedIn. Just change it there. So all the recommendations you get are going to be actually international companies. You don't get from your location anymore. Like, so before now, you usually get from Nigeria all the time. You know, but I just changed my profile search on LinkedIn, created alerts, you know, so I was getting like a pool of notifications from Germany. Like every time I was just getting this pool. So, but most of the time they were languages and technologies I was not used to. So I focused on just the Python stack, Python, Django, and maybe the full stack space. So like I said, I was getting like a ton of them. Like, so just, I wish I could actually show you my screen before I got my job. They were flooding in, like you could see LinkedIn alert all the way down. So I kept filtering them and applying. So I applied for a couple of them, lots of companies. I think I interviewed some of them, some I didn't pull through, some at least one I pulled through, others, some I actually had to that point where I needed to make a decision, right? So for example, some of the companies I actually interviewed were Klarna, Finn, the auto rental platform. So I interviewed with Finn, I interviewed with Klarna and some other companies as well. You know, so that was basically what I was doing. So I kept on, you know, getting all of that, you know, flood of alerts, and I was applying, you know, kept applying and applying and applying until I got all of the ones that I had to interview with. So pretty much that was how it happened, right? And did other interviews, you know, and you know, discuss salaries. So for me then, the salary was not like the major motivation, right? The major motivation was the fact that I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave Nigeria to like move abroad, right? Just wanted to, you know, I wanted a good life for my family, like, so I wasn't getting that. Technically, I could get my salary could give me that, you know, for the fact that I was working abroad and I wasn't paid in like foreign currency. could give me that, working abroad and living in Nigeria. But again, the system, I wanted that stable system for my family. So I got the job, I got a call that morning, saw the mail that morning that you've been offered the employment. This is the amount of money for your relocation expenses and stuff like that. And the beautiful part of it was that they were going to also relocate my wife alongside me, to Germany. So that's like the whole story of how I came here. So the next part of the tip is how can you optimize your chances, right? So ensure that you actually get that same space. The first thing, like I said, you have to ask yourself the question, where do I want to be? Like, where do I want to work? Do I want to work in Germany? Do I want to work in Canada? Do I want to work wherever? For now, it's Germany, right? And again, the reason why Germany seems to be like the best place, to work with is the fact that, like Booker said, the tech skill gap is really much here. So you see lots of coding boot camps here and there opening up, right? Because they need these people. So if you, for example, as we're talking right now, if you just go to your LinkedIn and just change your profile search and put Germany as a location, you could see the flood of offers of job opportunities that are available at the moment. So yes, so Germany is actually very much open, for expats to come in because they need the tech talent. The skill gap in terms of tech skills is very, very wide. So they need to close that. So you could as a first step, change your profile, set alerts on LinkedIn. So sometimes people think these things don't work. Trust me, it does work. Set alerts on LinkedIn, get the notification. Now, sometimes it's also very much important that you know how to really do all of these applications. So most times when you see easy apply, it's good to use easy apply sometimes on LinkedIn, but I prefer to actually, immediately I see the notification, I prefer to go to the site, right? The site of the company directly and apply there, and craft all of whatever I want to craft, the copy, the cover letter, the CV and all of this stuff. I don't want to give you all the tips in terms of writing CVs because myself, I also need to learn how to write CVs and the cover letters. But my point is, the point you have to move from some of the job applications that says easy apply, you can actually move from from LinkedIn and apply on the company directly. Other times you can actually apply directly on LinkedIn, right? You just click the easy apply and there are some of them actually has like a configured field that they're looking for. So when you click easy apply, this asks you more questions. Okay, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And you get all of that. Also, when you're applying for jobs abroad, you have to look at, is it relocation, but is it going to cover relocation costs and all of those stuff? Most times they tell you that relocation is covered. Other times they just tell you it's within Germany. So you do have to look at for all of those tips, all of those pointers. Sometimes you could apply for a job and you didn't check very well that it was actually looking for people that are already within Germany, right? So you need to check for the ones that are actually offering relocation. Okay, so once you notice that they are offering relocation, then go for it. Okay, then so after that, the next thing is now them calling you for interviews, right? So I don't want to waste all the time, but I think more questions will come in on how you can actually do all of those optimizations. But again, Germany actually is like a great place to work, and also you need to, like Henry did mention, the skills that are needed. Okay, don't go and learn if you have a particular skill set that the German market does not support. It's not too late to start learning the skill set that Germany supports, especially when it comes to Python and type and Node.js. I think those are very broad languages, and Java, like Henry mentioned, that you could actually learn. Okay, so do all of that. Now, I think I saw a question popped up. I'll just answer that one because it's very short. You asked about the language. No, I was not offered. I was not expected to speak German, right? My job opportunity was the office basically speaks English. So this moment we still speak English in the office. As a matter of fact, my company, we have a profile of over 70 plus nationalities, right, that are working in that company. So we are over 70 different nationalities within the company. Yeah. So, but do they give you the offer to learn the language? Of course, because you have to interact in the country. So they give you even like, for example, my company gives us free vouchers to learn languages. We have free languages courses. We have subscriptions for Babel and all of those stuff that we can use to learn the language. But do you need the language in the office? Not at all. But they give you this tip so you can learn the language properly, so you can be able to integrate within the system. And again, one thing I also noticed about the system in Germany is the fact that the work-life balance is really, really great. Someone once said, if you want money, go to the US. But if you want work-life balance, and some cash to go on vacation, Germany is for you. Like, Germany is the best place for you, right? My wife today was telling someone, that was the time I was going to the office. I was on vacation, and I think I was responding to something, and they were like, "You're on vacation, please. We don't need you to answer this mail, right?" And another time, I was on vacation. My CTO sent me a mail to tell me, "You still have some vacation days left. Please ensure that you book them for the year." Nobody wants to do that in Nigeria or in the US. They expect you to even work your life out, right? So Germany is actually a very great place when it comes to work-life balance, and it's really been great, working in a system that really respects family, it respects your work, your life, it respects your health, and give you all of these tips to stay healthy. When you come to Germany, you start seeing them telling you, "Do you want to ride bicycle?" The US wouldn't give you that. Or do you want to, want all these vouchers for all of this gym program and stuff like that. So Germany is very work-life balance oriented. That is, they give you that time to actually have your health checked properly, and also to ensure that you give, the maximum, to do your job. So as we proceed, maybe when other question comes in, I'll be willing to help him. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I enjoyed your story, and I really like that you were able to clarify that it's possible, right? Getting hired directly from your home country. I know we have a lot of people from Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria who are always curious, do I have to come here first for studies? And we've seen testimonies like you that it is possible to get your job even directly from Nigeria. And it could also be like working remotely or relocation options. And LinkedIn did the magic for you. So also, like Henry has mentioned, trying to connect everything. I think Germany has a really good work-life balance. But beyond the work-life balance, the quality of life in Germany is way higher than in the US for sure. We've had people who have worked in the United States and in Germany, and they will tell you this, that especially when you want to raise children or maybe start a family, Germany is way, way much better than the States. And the last speaker, before we go into Q&A, this time around is not in Nigeria. We have somebody from South Africa who has nearly decades of experience in software. He's an expert in DevOps and also known for leadership in a lot of projects across multiple dimensions. His name is Kehinde, who has finally accepted to be called Olua Kehinde because he has a huge West African friends, especially from Nigeria. But I'm happy because he's bringing his own perspective from South Africa. And Kehinde, if you're on the call, would like to see you on the camera and you can just introduce yourself. What will be helpful for you will be nice to tell us. Maybe many people now we want to get all of this and want to start already applying for jobs in Germany. Are there like key highlights or tips, indicators you feel like that can help them in improving their application to land these jobs? Kehinde, if you're on the call, can you please open your camera and unmute your microphone?
Okay. Thanks, Elisha. Thanks, and I would like to thank you guys as well for inviting me to this webinar. Yeah. So yeah, my name is Olua Kehinde for the Yorubas and Kehinde Chukwu for my Igbo brothers. Because I was, if you see my profile on LinkedIn, it shows that I was working with MoneyPoint for the past 7 months. So, which is a very unconventional, or I'm an unconventional participant, let me say, because I was working for a Nigerian company, but being in Germany, essentially, I was working remotely. So I do have almost about 2 decades of experience. I started working in about 2006. I'm 2 years away from making the 2 decades. So I've worked as a software engineer, back-end and DevOps engineer in my past 18 years of work, and I'm now in a leadership position. So my coming to Germany, I came as a senior software engineering manager working for Wayfair, which is one of the international companies or one of the American companies, essentially. But having a base here in Europe, and Europe was basically their headquarters. I mean, Germany was their headquarters for the European business, right? So now, for the question that you asked, right? Like, what are the tips that I can give you guys as you're applying for these jobs? Being on the hiring manager side, one thing I can say is that they should be a culture shift, right? As you are looking at these jobs that are there. Coming from an African context, there's a way that we work. We put in extremely long hours. We work on things maybe without looking at the potential outcome, and work on things just from the point of like, oh, my boss asked me to do this, right? One thing that has to happen in terms of the mental shift or the paradigm shift in our heads is that we have to develop a culture of ownership of the things that we have done. So if I'm interviewing you and I'm asking you to say, can you tell me some innovative project that you have worked on, right? And you just tell me like, oh, there was this project that we're working on, we're shifting data from maybe this telecommunication platform to this one and so on. And you don't give me the business context of whereby you took ownership and understood the reason why that was happening, the reason why it was adding business value, then it gives me a bit less confidence for you to, when I'm hiring you, that you'll be able to take ownership of the things that you are doing. You'll be able to see the full picture of what it is that you are actually, of the task that you've been granted. The other tip that I would also say is that when you are applying for these jobs, don't apply with a generic CV, right? Because the whole system with regards to the application process or the talent acquisition process, right? I think Elisha and Bukhard and my brother Izuchuku, they are experts in that. But one thing, there's what you call ATS, right? Which is basically the automated system that checks your CVs or creates a long list for the talent team to be able to now go shortlist you and try to start looking to say, oh, does this person actually qualify for this or not, right? One thing that the ATS system, it will be looking for particular keywords that you have in your CV. So if, for example, you go on LinkedIn, you're applying for a software engineering position, and they're specifically saying that, oh, they're looking for Python and so on. One thing that I would say is that include Python, include Django, include Flask, include all these frameworks that you have actually used, include things like PyTorch and so on, and include them in such a way that it shows that you do have some experience with them. You might have done them in university, you might have done them at the workplace where you have, or you have done it in some GitHub project, side projects that you have, right? That's one thing that you could do. So keywords, particular keywords for each job. It means that for 100 job applications that you may do, you may actually need to do 50 or 60 CV edits, right? That it may need to be that, but you don't have to do that. What you have to do is that you look at all these jobs and realize that one job requires maybe some keywords that are related to Python, continuous delivery, continuous integration. One job is looking like maybe some data analytics and whatever it is, and you're a Python programmer. So most of the time when you're a Python programmer, a software engineer who knows Python, most likely you are working in data analytics and data science and so on. So those particular terms are things that you can use. And as Emmanuel said as well, that don't just use Easy Apply, go to the site of the particular business, find out what it is that they are doing, glean a bit of some wisdom from there or some intelligence in finding out the key terms that you can be able to use and be able to put in your CV, so that at least you get to the recruiter, or you get to the eyes of the recruiter, so that an AI system does not actually immediately bump you out of the queue, right? That's the second tip. And I think the third tip is that once you get to the interview stage, be confident and realize that you actually know what it is that you're talking about, right? I'm not saying that you should bluff or anything like that, but if you're going to bluff, at least be confident in your bluffing, right? And ensure that you actually you pitch up to that interview with that confidence and knowing to say like, you are actually, so the way my mindset is usually like this, and this I think something that will be able to help you, is that you have to realize that you are hiring your new employer, right? You are hiring your new employer. So when you think in that particular way, it's a mind shift or a paradigm shift whereby you are now confident you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you, right? Because you have to realize that when you are hiring your new employer may be toxic, and you need to be able to watch out for those particular signs. Your new employer may not be be having the culture that you are looking for, and you need to watch out for those particular signs. Arrive at that interview with that confidence. And then the fourth one I would say is that always have questions that you're going to ask, right? It shows that you have done a bit of some research on the company, even though it's gonna be 100 companies or 20 companies that you're gonna interview with. Always have questions, understand the business of that particular company, what it is that they are into. If you are going for an IoT company, understand some elements of IoT. If you're going for a data analytics company, understand what they are doing data analytics on, right? It should not just be like, oh, it's not about you just selling yourself, but it's a matter of you selling yourself that you can be a proper fit for this company. And this company wants to know, to say that as much as we have not hired this person, they actually went out of their way to find out what it is that we are doing in our business, what is our order of business, and we can be able to hire this person. They'll be able to start off really quickly, right? I think the last one I would say is that when you get hired, just give it your best, right? Give it your best, and just know that they are not doing you a favor, because there's this thing that we have whereby we tend to at times glorify the Western world and think that maybe they know way more than us, or they do whatever it is. But the fact that they are looking for you as an IT personnel, or as a software engineer, or as a technology person, it's because they know that you know what it is that you are doing. Be confident in the job, be confident and show up, and also understand to say that some of the cultural elements that you may have coming from Africa may not really apply in the German market. They are very conservative when it comes to things like religion. You don't just start blurting out about things that are related to religion and everything like that. They're very conservative. Some things that you can be able to say very freely in Africa or in Nigeria will be considered as sexual harassment, right? Some things will be considered as very political and so on. So those are the things that I would actually say, right? So you're looking for a job, ensure that you have that particular mindset, because then you may be able to say a particular joke during the interview, and that is something that will cost you getting the job, because you have said something that is maybe extremely religious, or something that is borderline political and so on, right? So those are the tips that I can actually give. And if there are any questions, I'm available to answer. Thank you, Elisha. I don't want to take so much time as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Kekenda, I'm just curious, are you from South Africa or from Zambia?
Well, I'm from Zambia, but I grew up in Botswana, actually. I wanted to correct that, but I'm more of a Botswana than a Zambian, because for 22 years, that's where I spent most of my life.
You're very international. You're Pan-African.
And then I worked in South Africa, of course.
And you have a Nigerian brothers. You're living in Germany. Very international. Very nice. Thank you so much. I think you gave a very, very good wrap-up of all the conversations we've had today. And before we go into Q&A, I'll just like to share quickly that I know a lot of people still have made up their mind that, okay, yes, I want to make move, like I want to start applying these jobs, and we are here to support you. So at Terra Talent, we are a very young company, but we have over 20 years of experiences. So if you are here and you feel like your goal in the next 3 months is to secure an IT job, then I would say you should already scan the QR code here, as you can see, or you can go on our website to check our talent services. So what we are trying to do is to help a lot of people get jobs in Germany, basically. So we can help you with the whole job strategy support, application support, and even how you customize your CV and cover letter with the German standard is very different from where you're coming from. Keinda talk a lot about the German culture. So we do this kind of master classes, one-on-one support where you can understand the German culture because the work culture is very different. And it's super important that it's not enough to just get a job, but how do you even keep your job? How do you adapt to the culture? Then IT adaptation and networking. So if you have it, you want to explore IT jobs, we can help you in terms of checking your portfolio and making sure it suits in what the German employers are looking for, and also help you to upskill this and accommodation support, visa support, and maybe for those who wants to use like university to come to Germany, like F1 has shared her story, how she came here for studies. We can also help you to do all these school routes if you want to apply for your master's or even bachelor's or even applying for scholarships. So this is just an overview in terms of our services that we try to support you if you want to get more support because we can't cover everything on this webinar. So if you think your goal is to come to Germany in the next few months, then I'll advise you to already subscribe to this talent services. You can just scan the QR code. And you can also reach us here on info@terratalents.de, or you can just reach us on this number. So you can easily contact us. We are very accessible. We are very passionate about people. So don't be worried or scared. You definitely get the support that you need. And moving on, I would like to go to Q&A now. I don't know, did Danica you on the call to coordinate the question and answer? I'll say we will do this in 5 minutes, and maybe any speaker can just volunteer to answer the questions that maybe fits you. Danica, are you there? If not, I can coordinate it. Okay, I think Danica is very busy. All right, so we have a couple of questions here. There's a question from Philip from Ghana who wants to know what employers in Germany care about when hiring. Do you think they prefer to have a certificate, or do you think they focus more on portfolios, projects, or skill set? He's asking because he has a degree, but he does not have portfolios and projects. So I don't know, maybe maybe a book out. I don't know. This looks like you can say something about this, or maybe Kikeinda or Henry. Who wants to volunteer?
I think, Kayinda, you are better on that because I know the former side, but I think when it comes for HR, that the portfolio is more important. What do you say?
Yeah, I think, look, I think from my end, right, as a hiring manager, the thing that I would look at is that it depends on the kind of role, right? So if you're looking at a role of like a software engineering role, the fact that you already are going to have like 5 or 6 interviews or something like that, it's telling because you're going to have a system design, you're going to have coding tests, you're going to have a behavioral interviews or what you call, yeah, so behavioral coding and system design interviews. That should already tell me to say like, oh, this person knows what it is that they're doing, right? But then if you have an extra like portfolio, you've got some GitHub code that you have and so on, that becomes a bonus, especially when it comes in the startup scene, because you have to divide these companies into different places. If you got a corporate usually has got particular standards that they have. You may have a portfolio, but we may never even look at your portfolio because we're like, this is our process, this is how it is, and the process has been put in place so that it doesn't present any bias. The process is put in place so that it doesn't favor anyone. But if we now go out of the process and say, oh, let's look at his portfolio, let's look at this and so on, then it's almost like we are having a bias. But it can be looked at without it being mentioned, like essentially. And then you have the medium sized enterprises, right? So the corporates are your BMW, Mercedes-Benz, SAP, Lidl, all of these guys. Their processes are set, and also this multinational American companies that are in Germany as well. So they've got very specific processes that are set. And then you've got the companies that are in between, right? Which are not necessarily startups. They are scale-ups. They are coming from a startup. They've got maybe 500 to 1,000 employees or 250 employees and so on. They're already maybe at Series C, or they are independent with regards to their funding. Those are ones that can be able to like, oh, let's look at his portfolio. Let's look at that. And they may be able to even give you a job on the spot, basically, without having to go through the whole round. Or they may give you a job after you have like one interview and they've looked at your portfolio and so on. Then startups are another can of worms where it will depend. The founder may like you and it's like, oh, I like the work that you have done. Let's have a chat. Then they give you a job right on the spot. So it's covering that strata of companies that are there. But if you can have a portfolio, maybe you're in data sciences, it would be good if you can do that, showing the various models that you have applied or the various analytical frameworks that you have used. Great, have that in place. The more, the better. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that's pretty very clear. It makes sense to just have portfolio. I think it's really, really recommended. And there's a question from Sheba. So we talk a lot about IT jobs. So the question is it mostly in Germany? And most of these jobs, are they like IT traditional jobs like IT admin, IT support, IT domain jobs, or are they mostly like jobs related to data science? Who wants to volunteer to answer this question? Should I?
So I think it cuts across all of the domain, right?
Okay.
So it depends on. So right now, I think there are lots of AI focused companies in Germany. So you have a lot of those data related kind of roles available. But at the same time, you also have the the software development type of roles as well. In terms of support, like support, IT support, and all of that, I think they are very, very rare. Okay, when it comes to the German space, yeah. So in those kind of support roles, they are there, but they are very rare. You don't find them that much. As a matter of fact, I don't think they are. I don't know, right? But I don't think there are lots of companies who are actually hiring foreign or experts for those roles, right? Because they believe that these are roles that people within the system in Germany can actually quickly just take up, and it just falls all within the same scope and role of the support staff, support service. Yeah, in that. Okay, but
thank you so much.
What you find more is in the space of data and software engineering.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So there's this question which I think is very interesting. Word of mouth referrals work a lot in Africa. So looking at the Black community in Germany, does this strategy also work in terms of getting jobs? Maybe also in Kenya seems to be the oldest Black person here.
Well, I'm not really the oldest. Myself and Henry are twins, actually, in terms of age. And funny enough, we were born in the same month, 4 days apart.
Wow, interesting, nice.
Yeah, so word of mouth or referrals do work, right? And a lot of companies in Germany do have a referral system in place where they actually, they remunerate their employees for referring somebody, depending on the level of position and so on. It can be as much as 2,000, 3,000 euros for upper management and so on. If you can be able to refer one of your friends, close friends that that they're software engineers and so on. But mind you, it's not nepotism. It's about getting you in front of the queue, right? So that you can be interviewed. You'll still need to go through all the 4, 5, 6 interviews that you have to go through. So word of mouth helps you to get to the door. And when you get to the door, you have to show your flair and you have to show yourself.
Yeah. Amazing, thank you, Nkenga.
Just to add to that, right? And it's very, very common. As a matter of fact, in my company, which is it's going to be a bit of a bittersweet experience for those of us, some of us in Nigeria. Not all companies, but currently my company does not employ from Nigeria for one reason. The reason is because our Nigerian system delays our visa application process.
True.
It takes like 8 months. So you get a job offer this month, and before Nigeria will finally give you a visa to come over, it takes like 9-10 months, right? And all of those delays the process. And so for that reason, some companies, for my company, I know for that, they tend to halt some places that they actually take expats from abroad, right? But it's not a general scope, right? Not all company does that, but I think my company right now, they just focused on places that the visa processes are very, very short term, not a very long term one, right? It's very quick to just get visas and come over. So it's very, very important that you also understand, this is possible. Word of mouth is possible, because I remember actually recommending two people. Actually, I recommended a guy from Poland who I worked together with at Moto Insight, and also recommended a guy from Nigeria who also we worked together at Centricity in the US. So for the guy from Nigeria, he did not pull through because they said the cost, that's where the cost now came in, like the time frame for the visa process, because the last guy that came from Nigeria, it took him almost 10 months, right, to get his visa to actually move to start his role, right?
Yeah.
But the other guy from Poland, his challenge actually was the fact that he didn't want to come leave Poland. He wanted to remain in Poland and work remotely, but the company didn't want that. So yeah, word of mouth really works a whole lot. Like it works like magic, because if that person recommends, if you're the system and you recommend someone else, so then they believe that, okay, you've worked with this person, you understand the forte of this person, and you can actually vouch for this person. So the process is very, very easy. But what's it called? The recruiters will just put a call through immediately, talk to the person, and they move into the next rounds of following through the next interview process.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So I think we have answered all the questions except one. This is from Gospel asking about researching and predicting petrophysical properties from seismic data using machine learning to get a PhD scholarship in Germany. I don't know if Henry or Ifon has an idea about this. Is it possible to get a scholarship for PhD in this field of machine learning to do research in petrophysical properties? Do you have an idea or anything to share about this?
Yes, this is possible. You can check out that DAAD. Scholarships are being offered. The process with there are several scholarships opportunities in Germany. You need to check the link, the DAAD link, to find out what opportunities are there that you can use. That's one. If you are now, like in this case, it seems like you have your own topic and you want to work on this particular project, then there are also schools here in Germany that you first would need to get a supervisor, and then you can now work towards doing that. But DAAD is one of the links where you can actually apply for scholarships based on a particular topic, and if approved and the process goes through, you can actually get a scholarship to do your PhD. So yeah, that is one link that I know.
Yeah, and I think just to share, okay, Henry, you can go first.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly say that PhD programs in Germany, most times it's an offer, it's a job.
Yeah.
So I think the best way you should go about it is research institutions that are doing something related to what you want to do a PhD. Apply. You get 3 years, you get 4 years contract to work with them while you do your PhD. So there's no way, bothering yourself much. Just look for schools and look for programs you want to do in the related field. You see offers, you see contracts, to do your PhD and to work in that research group. So once you get the offer, automatically you have they pay you. It's like a paid job. So you get a 4 years contract to do your PhD while you work with the research group. So it's very simple in Germany, actually.
Thank you so much, Henry. I think that was helpful. And thank you, Pukat. I think you already answered some questions on the chat box. I assume we didn't miss anything else. If not, I would like to really thank all the speakers. Thank you so much for your time, for making time to have this call with us. Like Emmanuel, who is supposed to be on vacation, right? And from Kenya, all the way from Botswana, South Africa, everywhere. and Henry for supporting. Thank you, Bukat. I really appreciate you. But I think without the people on this call who are the participants, this call would not have happened. So I would like to thank all of you all for joining this amazing webinar. So please, if you have any questions, you can always reach us at info@terratalents.de. You can also join our WhatsApp community. You can also reach out to us on WhatsApp as well. We are very flexible and we're loving people. So enjoy the rest of your weekend and make sure you have fun. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.